Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. Drum roll, please. Brrrr. Scott Royal Smith of Royal Legal Solutions. Welcome to the AJ Brown Show.
Yeah, great to be here, fellas. How we doing?
Doing
Uh,
well.
right off the bat, you've got a great setup there, Scott. I was just checking out your website and some of these success stories. Maybe before we dig into that, what are your thoughts on where the market stands with the government shutdown, and how's that affecting some of your clientele and some of the things that you're doing on your end?
Um, yeah. So for a lot of time, a lot of people I'm talking to right now, right? Everybody's divesting from markets, as they're saying, great. We know markets are consumer sentiment based, and when you got people up at the head that are doing stuff that's going to radically change things really quickly, then how do humans respond with radical change? If you did that inside of your family, like you just showed up randomly and started like chucking things around the house, how does your family feel? Okay, great. How do you think markets are going to respond long term? Great. So that's why we need to divest from markets. Is my opinion, and get it into stuff that like AJ was talking about. I really like land, gold, like oil and gas, getting into like especially natural gas. I think there's a lot of good plays long term with that. My focus is, guys, on like how do we create the portfolio that cruises, that turns into like our cash generation, that gives us the stability to be able to say, I feel okay no matter what's happening out there. And then we have our active businesses where we're trying to generate a bunch of cash to basically fund the engine that makes our lifestyle the way it is. Because until we can get to a place where our businesses and our portfolios give us the peace of mind inside to say, I will always be okay, then we're always living inside of an edge of fear and anxiety. Right. And that's sophisticated investing and tax saving models, legal protections. That's how you actually get to a place of true peace when it comes to the money aspect of your life.
So you're talking about investing, you're talking about starting some businesses, you're talking about the overall portfolio and the platform that you do that all on and how to structure that. Where do you come in with your Royal Solutions? And what was really the first, of those three, starting businesses or investing, what was really the first thing that you delved into first?
So I mean, my first experience with business and real estate was actually I bought a transmission auto repair shop when I was in law school. Flipped it after law school, after rehabbing both of those to graduate from law school without debt. Was working as an attorney while being a real estate investor, a la like Robert Kiyosaki style, until I hit my
Mhm.
first financial freedom. Started traveling the world, and then realized actually there's a bunch of problems that happen after that. There is no freedom just at having cash flow from assets. There's you run into other things. You run into tax problems because you run out of depreciation. You can run into lawsuits, which can simply take away everything that you've worked so hard to build, especially if you have assets in your personal name. That's the worst thing you can possibly do from a legal protection standpoint. Then there's looking at tax efficiencies for tax shelters like private foundations, which I think everybody should be using in your audience, from what I've heard from you guys so far of what are you guys doing to make top line revenue happen. And then really what you need is a deal pipeline that will give you tax benefits with really boring assets like apartment complexes, car washes, things that are recession resistant. That'll give you huge tax benefits in the front end, give you some good cash flow, and then good exits. That's my theory of it as essentially what we are as a family office. It's my family office that we fractionalize out. These are kinds of systems that people that are 25, 50 million net worth families use, but we're helping people all the way down at like you got some money set to the side and you're making 350K a year. What's appropriate for you? Right. All the way to people that are making a couple $1 million a year as our typical client.
Well, let me ask you, because we do have a few like 8-figure stock traders, but a lot of our stock traders are brand new. They maybe have a portfolio of, a couple thousand all the way up to a couple 100,000 that they're getting in. Um, and they usually just want to jump in on the trading systems. But what should come first, trading systems or this whole setup for, making sure you're paying the right taxes on your trading, make sure you're protecting yourself? Because I know a lot of my investors as well, they're part-time investors, right? They have something they're doing during the day and they're end of day traders. And like, if you're like me, maybe some of the stuff is risky. You teach people how to trade, how to scuba dive. And like, I could kill somebody tomorrow in the pool or in the ocean. And boy, would that be a problem to my trading assets if I don't have it figured out right. So at what point do you begin thinking about your liabilities, your tax, how you're going to transfer this if you pass away to the next generation, things like that?
I think the easy answer to that is that you always just focus on top line revenue first, right? Top line revenue actually
Okay.
drives everything else. Big success with top line revenue, all the other puzzle pieces will fall into place. So there's two ways
Okay.
you drive top line revenue. That's that's your active business. You guys are doing an active business called trading, right? You're trading time for money with intelligence. That's now an active business. It's not passive money that you placed over there and then it's just doing its thing, right? And you're not having to look at it, right? So everything drives top line revenue first. You need to make as much money as you possibly can first, right? And the way you're going to make that money is your active business and with tax savings. Those are the two top line revenue indicators that you have. Once you get sophisticated on that end of it, which should be the easiest part. I mean, these are straight ROI calculations. I spend this much money, I do this thing, this much time, I should make this much money. That's why you focus on tax and active businesses. Then everything else that you do are all of the good things that you should do to be able to bulletproof the success that you've had so it doesn't fall away from some unexpected event, right? So if you're the power of how do you do that to maximize your top line revenue always works hand in hand with your active business that's generating cash. And then how efficiently can you keep that cash? And so for you guys, I would say you want to use a private foundation. Everybody should be making all these trades, in my opinion, inside of their private foundation because your tax rates on the trades will only be 1.39% instead of whatever the capital gains rates are or ordinary income rates you're paying right now.
And a lot of us are paying short-term capital gains, but that's a term I think SIP just focused on it as well. Private foundation.
How are you hacking that system there, Scott? Or
yeah, so you've heard of private foundations, right? This is stuff like Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the ultra wealthy use. Like it's the number one play that everybody's using that actually knows the sophisticated money game. You guys haven't heard of that?
That's why we brought you on to give us the
411.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me give you a quick take you to school real quick on how this works. So with the private foundation, and this is going to work for the trading systems, it's also going to work for everybody who has W-2 income or private and business income. Private foundation, what it does, it allows you to contribute up to 30% of your income each year into the private foundation. It's a type of 501c3 nonprofit, totally funded by you and totally under your control. So now that 30% that you contributed, that's totally non-taxed. And then you can contribute things like your assets as well as cash. Stock portfolio can also get moved into there. You make a tax deduction just by changing how do you hold your brokerage account. Then you do all of your trades inside of the foundation in the same way that you're doing it right now. The foundation only pays a 1.39% tax. That money now snowballs faster because you're not having all of the tax drag on your portfolio. So you J curve what happens with your wealth because you're having extra 20, 30% more money every year just because of the tax efficiencies, right? That's like if you can make a 30% return on an investment that you're making in a business, you're thinking, man, I'm killing it. But you're making that automatically just on tax plus whatever the gains are that you're making inside of your active trades. As that money snowballs, you say, great, when am I ready to retire? Or when am I ready to leave my W-2? Because now I'm working with AJ and like the stock portfolio is booming in here. I now take a director's wage out of that. And just like an IRA, like would work, I now pay tax on that money on the back end, but I got to get more money on the front end and got to snowball it in a more tax efficient way before I take it out. So it's really just like a super IRA that you get to control and you can take money out of without penalty anytime.
And can you leave the money in there and have it work for you and only take out a wage like for your basic necessities? Because then
you don't ever have to take money out.
Yeah, because if you're paying yourself a director's wage for just your basic necessities, I mean, that could be like 20,000. That could be considered at the lowest tax rate or no tax rate, right?
Yeah. You never actually have to take money out of it. When you're ready to take money out, typically the ranges are like up to 750K a year is what we would want to try to like say, cool, that's what we would limit it out of the private foundation to do that. So if you're under wherever you're at in that journey, that's the most tax efficient, high sophistication tax shelter that you can use
So
for this kind
is that the biggest mistake that we could make, or are there other mistakes? So if I don't start right out going, oh, I got so many questions, but let me start with that one, and then I've got another question. I better tie a string around my finger. Um, is that the number one mistake? Is that we just start doing it in a retail account in our Social Security number and start going, and then we have to that we don't set up this private foundation from day one, or is there other mistakes that we might be making?
Well, it's not necessarily a mistake to be doing the retail investing inside of your personal name, right? But what it actually leads people to do is to say, well, I either end up paying a ton of tax on all of the gains that I just made, right? And I either have to pay the tax on that, or what I need to do is go find things that are like limited partnership interests and syndications that are like car wash funds or oil and gas machinery or in like apartment complexes that will give me 100 to 200% depreciation on those investments. So I don't have to pay tax on that money. Right. So there are ways to navigate tax while diversifying your portfolio into really boring, highly effective assets without using the private foundation. Right. So it's a little bit of a game, right? You can either make your top line revenue and then protect it using asset-backed businesses that have huge tax benefits associated with them that you can take inside of the very first year that will totally offset all of the tax you made on your gains. Or you shift it into something that's like the foundation, and I can just snowball the money in there, and I don't have to worry about diversification of the assets because I'm only paying 1.39% inside of the foundation. So
Or
I
a
can
little
just
bit of
snowball the
both.
money. Or
You
that is actually the most sophisticated people, right? Because I can only protect 30% of my income contributed to the foundation. So then the rest of my income, I'll diversify into a great portfolio of assets. That's how we get people down to paying 0 to 10% a year in tax, is using that kind of strategy that you just stumbled upon, AJ.
Well, let me ask you this as well. A lot of people who are listening right now are probably thinking, when I've gone to my broker and I've talked about, setting up a brokerage account like in a Roth or somehow a retirement account, they limit what type of trades I can do. Will setting up this personal foundation, will that cause me to be limited in the type of trades I can do?
No, you can invest in any type of asset. You could buy art with it. You could buy crypto. You can do any type of asset trading you want to do inside of the foundation. The
So
only
the
thing you don't want
the
to do is like an active business itself, right? But any type of investing you're doing, that's fine. Like,
okay,
I
so
want to start a taco stand. You don't own the taco stand inside the private foundation. Okay. Like, set that aside.
but you could
Yeah, that
still
was totally
like when I set up my brokerage account with the private foundation, they're not going to say, "Oh, you can only do, you can only trade these funds, or you can only do, certain type of." Basically, the brokerage doesn't even get this. This is at a higher level than what the brokerage is doing. So the brokerage, it doesn't even have awareness of the entity that it's in, right?
zero restrictions. It's everything will run for you exactly the way that you're doing right now with how you're making
In
money in
your
your life.
And
So
is
like
this
nothing will change besides just the legal architecture that sits behind it, that you have a team that should be maintaining that, and then at least once a quarter with you on all of your tax, legal, and pieces there. So that's how you stay proactive on it. Spend about 1 to 3 hours a quarter managing what's going on with your tax and legal infrastructure. Otherwise, my belief is that our company is specifically thinking about how do we get people to spend more time focused on their businesses, because that's their highest dollar productive activity. Otherwise, let's leverage it through a team system process that runs in the background, that creates high efficiencies and high strategy that we look at proactively throughout the year. And that's the best thing that anybody could ever do in wealth building.
And I'm curious, how long has this been an option for us as investors? Is this a new thing? Has this been around for decades? Like when did this become popular, or when did the ultra wealthy or the sophisticated start utilizing these types of strategies?
A
I mean,
personal foundation, is that what you're talking
yeah,
about, Sip?
the private foundation's been around for quite a while, right? I mean,
Mhm.
these aren't new fly by night things. I mean, maybe this is like the Rothschilds. These are like the big money
Right.
interests. The Bill Gates of the world. You always hear about the Gates Foundation. That's what that is, right? So
Do
the
you
difference. Oh, go ahead.
No, no. I'm listening and I'm so curious.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's what's different is that what I spent my life doing over the past 12 years is going around to like and halfway sneaking in to the highest net worth groups that I could find to figure out what are the guys and gals doing at that level. What are the 100 million plus net worth people doing? And then I have my attorney brain and my entrepreneurial brain and said, well, how can I take all of this, apply it to my own life, and figure out a way to be able to make that work for like the average person or average family that's making 350K plus a year, or has some type of active business that we can just plug in a section of what we do. Because that was fun for me, right? Is to like figure out that level of the puzzle, bringing it all down to the common man, kind of, so to speak.
And with that, when I went to your website, it seems as if it's set up to kind of explain and teach the common man your system. So I've gone ahead and pulled it up for everybody. The link is in the chat. But Scott, real quick, you said that for anybody that's interested in learning more about these strategies and working with you specifically, watching this first video on the homepage is the best place to start. Is that right?
Yeah, the homepage video is the best place to start. Like our claim to fame is if you're paying over 100K in tax, we can save you so much in tax, it'll pay for all of our fees and infrastructure that we set up. So it's literally just taking the waste to hire great professionals to help make you make more money. And so, but the homepage video is going to help explain like how that all works and how you can get to what does a one-stop shop feel like for this part of the world.
And then once someone is happy with what they see, you guys, I'm assuming you guys get on a call, you come up with some
Right.
sort of a strategy, you figure out how you're going to work together. What does those kind of steps look like, and how long might something like that take?
It's pretty simple, right? Video is going to take you about 30 minutes to watch. You sign up for a call, do a little bit of research on the back end. I'd highly encourage everybody to do that before you get on the call. On the call, we'll have big incentives for you if you sign up on the first call because we're busy people. So we help people save money if they help save us time and being able to move forward. And what we'll walk through on that call is going to be really brass tacks of looking at your situation. Here's what we have for clients that have been in your situation. Here's exactly, plus minus 10% about what we think we're going to be able to make you inside of the first year. And then we'll compare that to say, does that make sense with how much money you're going to pay us to help set all this stuff up for you? If it says, yeah, we're a green light on that, you're delivering me awesome ROI, Scott, on those things, then it's about a 6-week build time. And then after that, it's quarterly meetings with the team, or we have weekly calls with the investor community and attorneys and CPAs that are open for everybody to join and participate in the community. With our focus is not on the trading space like you guys do, right? Our focus is really inside of the boring, stable asset space, Class B apartments, car washes, recession-resistant assets that have huge tax benefits. Because I really like tax because tax I get to control and I have a guaranteed return, right? So I get, maybe 30, 40, 50% of my money back inside of the first year if I make the right kind of tax advantaged investment in like an apartment complex or something like that.
And then if you scroll down in this further down on the site, it looks like you got some really good examples of some success stories. So hopefully this should entice anybody who's a little frustrated with their tax situation or is eager to find some ways to benefit. So I would highly suggest you head on over there, sign up. Don't waste Scott's time because, like he said, he's a busy guy, and we want to get you set up for success.
Can I
AJ,
ask, Scott,
yeah,
I got a question on the exit here.
Yeah.
So tax, it seems like the tax code, even for the rich, is constantly changing. I mean, right now, it seems like, we're in a phase, at least through 2028, where, there's a lot of these tax loopholes that people can take advantage of. But, the pendulum swings left and right. and who knows what might happen. We might go the opposite direction where this whole thing of tax rich, make sure the rich are getting taxed, all that good stuff. How does are you on the ball? Like, are you aware of all these things in a, you know, uh, uh, in other words, I'm thinking about all the traders right now who have been trading the uptrend for the last 6 months. And now they're going to, if there's a downturn, they're going to be, a lot of them won't be prepared. Are you going to be prepared if all of a sudden the tax code becomes really repressive?
Yeah, so there's certain, of course, right? That's our job, is to stay on top of active, proactive strategies for what's happening with
Sure.
the tax, the income, and the investing, right? That's why we have at least a quarterly meeting with every client. That's actually what's required if you're going to stay ahead of the strategic things that are needed to happen with tax, right?
Okay.
I also encourage you to think about, just like you guys think about like long-term trends in the trading markets, right? Let's look at, there are short-term trends that happen with like what are tax incentives around certain types of investments, because that's where the government's trying to buoy up the economy and asset sectors to keep economic downturns from happening. That's why they give tax
Right.
incentives to certain types of asset classes, right? That's always
Right.
going to change, right?
Yeah.
But the government is always pulling levers to try to control our behavior and flow of dollars to something, right? You just got to know what that something is going to be and be on the ball with that. There's other things that are happening, like private foundations, where the laws on that don't change. Like the tax incentives are aligned to say that those are always consistent and have been habitually consistent over long periods of time. So I said, great, that's a really solid trend to say, is cool. We have this avenue that we know exactly how that's going to behave. We have this area of our life where there's variables where we have to try to stay on top of what's going to happen. And so that's all I'm introducing, is the concept of saying, isn't our life way better if we have a part of our life that's variable and that we're staying up and down on, while we're building a foundation of security that we know exactly how this is going to perform long term. And if we do that right, we're maximizing net worth while giving ourselves complete peace of mind about the future, so we always know we're okay. And if we do that, I think that's this recipe to how do you create a great life.
It's like we need to talk offline.
Yeah.
My man, let's do it.
Yeah, AJ's always looking for any quick
An
ways
edge.
to rig, not, to edge the system. That's right. That's right. So once again, folks, the link to Scott's wonderful program and his company, Royal Legal Solutions, is in the chat. Head on over there, check out the video, hit that sign up button, get in touch with the team, and discuss your options. AJ, any final questions before we head into some of the rest of our daily scheduled programs?
Yeah. Is there anything, Scott, that you want to cover that we didn't ask you about? Something that I'm missing?
Man, I think if we covered any more about technical details on this stuff, I think people's brains might melt. But I think that the best thing to do, right, when you're coming into any of these things, in my opinion, is I just want to encourage everybody to take action on the things that you know that you should have been doing. Right? If it's not like with a company like that's ours, find the right partners that are going to take care of all of these matters of your life for you, because you think that you're not paying a cost for them because you're not doing anything about it. But the reality is how many times do you think about it? And does it come up for you? All of those things are energetic costs to your mind. And what you really need, if you really want to maximize your net worth and cash flow, make the most successful businesses that you could do, you need a clear mind. That's all you have. All you have at the end of the day is a mind that has thoughts, emotions, and takes actions. And so the clearer you can make that by having good partners that hold down great things for you, the more money you will make. So find your amazing partners. Even if it's not us, even if it's not AJ, find the people that have walked the path before that you can trust, vet them, and then trust them, and then get back to work.
Well, certainly
vet them and trust them.
It certainly sounds like you know what you're talking about, Scott. It sounds like you got a great team over there with you, helping you out, and the success stories are phenomenal. So we would like to thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us at the AJ Brown Show to educate some of our viewers on some of these wonderful strategies that you're implementing.
Private foundation.
Once again, folks, if you're interested in learning and getting in touch with Scott and doing some business with him, the link to there is in the chat. AJ or Scott, I know the weekend's heading, is upon us. We don't want to keep you anymore. We appreciate your time. Please enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend, and as we get some requests from our end, we'll gladly send them your way and get people
Absolutely.
set up for success. So we appreciate you joining us here today.
Thanks,
No,
Scott.
my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, Scott, take care.